Welcome to the GT Asia Series Shangpeng Race of Shanghai, here from Shanghai International Circuit in China, for what will be the very last event of the 2016 GT Asia Series season. I'm Sean Henshelwood, and I'm joined here by Steve Martin, who's been lucky enough to sit through this entire season right here and watch it unfold. And very impressive, Steve, across qualifying yesterday. And, well, the weather, you can see it there live on screen. It's wet, it's nasty, but big crowd brewing too. So we're in for a very good event here today.
Yeah, we certainly are. I'm really looking forward to getting this race underway. I mean, we're right at the crux of the season now. We're near the end of the season. At the end of this event, there'll be less contenders in for the championship. We've got 11 people at the moment still in contention for the championship. So this is a very important race. And as you can see, Sean, it's not a dry race like everybody wants. It's wet, and that always throws a cat among the pigeons.
It does too, and cat amongst the pigeons. That said, it was warm, very warm when we were here a couple of months ago in August, and the man sitting on a pole took the Motul Pole Award, his second of the year, Alex Yoong, former Formula One driver. The Malaysian driver's well adversed with these Audis. He's a two-time Audi R8 LMS Cup champion in Asia, and he is sitting on the P1 position for this race. We have 60 minutes ahead, and he's done a pretty good job this year. They've been on the podium, of course, shares with Alex Au, but the man alongside him is the one that I'm interested to see is how he will start, the 37 car there on screen.
Yeah, David Arrizzo, Anthony Liu, of course. This is a big event for them and a big day today. They sit second in the championship at the moment. They're at home here in Shanghai. Done a lot of laps in these conditions. In fact, you interviewed him yesterday, didn't you, David Arrizzo? And he said, yeah, it's pretty funny. We've had some funny times in the wet around here, so I think he's feeling pretty confident that he can take this away. So really looking forward to that.
The Shangpeng car on screen, you can hear the big crowd cheering. Great support for Shangpeng here on the support, their maiden event supporting the GT Asia Series in the 2016 final. So this is round 11. We have round 12 a little bit later in the day. The grids were set yesterday through two 15-minute qualifying sessions, and we saw a great run. Here's the reigning champion, Darryl Young. He will lose his title as the reigning GT Asia Series champion rather tonight. There will be a new champion. They've had a pretty torrid year at stages throughout the 10 rounds we've had so far in that VLT Porsche. Of course, joined by Toy-Baron Barkley. He's done a great job so far, but what a great position for them to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Mapelli and Mull, of course, in the number 5 Triple F racing team by ACM. The foreigners, the team that Lamborghini have sent down to help the other Lamborghini of the two Italians win the championship, qualifying in a good position. But if you remember, back at the end of August, we had two Lamborghinis on the front row of the grid. Not the case this time round.
No, not the case this time round, but that was a vital part of yesterday's qualifying. Last time round, as you say, they both started on the front row for the second of the two races in August, and they ran interference, you could say, for the 37 car. So the Mull car, Jerome Mull, qualified it. He's the man that developed this Huracan GT3, or assisted with the development of the Lamborghini Squadra-Corse team. He got away from pole. He let the 55 car on screen now. It's got Edo Liberati behind the wheel now, but it was Andrea Amici at that stage. Let him pass to disappear off into the distance, and it wasn't an aggressive tactic, but he certainly became very difficult for Anthony Liu to pass. They chewed up the tyres. After that, Davide Rizzo had it all ahead of him to try and get through to the end of the race. They learned from that. They knew what they had to do. So in qualifying yesterday, you can see here are the championship points. We'll get to the strategy a little bit later with the Lamborghinis, but Edo Liberati and Andrea Amici, the two Triple F racing team by ACM drivers, 119 points, just 9 points back to the local heroes, Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu. Then Woody Korn is in position number 3 in the number 9 Bentley. Marchi Lee and Sean Thong in the two-time winning number 5 Audi, and then behind them it's Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim, who have also won a round of the championship this year. They're in title contention. So too Jonathan Venter and Kitasawa. They've won 3 rounds this year, but outside of that back-to-back victory in the first round rather, in South Korea, they've had a pretty rough middle of the year, and starting rear of field. I mean, that's how competitive this field is. Only a fairly condensed field. We'll see it. Young and Au on pole, Rizzo and Liu alongside in the 37 yellow and red Ferrari. Then it's Lyons and Yu in the Shangpeng Craft Bamboo Racing Porsche alongside teammates Darryl Young and Toy-Baron Barkley. That is row number 2. Row number 3, Mapelli and Mull. Mapelli will start this race, his debut in the series. Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim in the number 7 Bentley alongside. That's row 3. Round 4, the Points leaders, Liberati and Amici. We'll talk about them a little bit later. They're a bit further back than they were hoping. Tom and Lee, we're just talking about Sean Thong. He will start this race. They're two-time winners. Tapi and Puvasak on row number 5 alongside De Shengzhang and Li Chao in the Group M Porsche, and rounding out the field this time, Venter and Sawa, who won the most recent race here at Shanghai. They will start rear of field. Any car in this field could win this race, Steve Martin, and that's been one of the beauties of the entire 2016 GT Asia Series.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody in the field's got a lot of experience around this Shanghai circuit as well. We've had wet practice, so everyone should be set fair for the race. Tyres, once again, everybody's on wet weather tyres, and as you can see, they're out there now just on their warm-up lap, their formation lap here in the GT Asia Series. Of course, we have a rolling start, so they'll break into the rolling start format when they get onto the back straights out of turn 13, then heading into turn 14. So there's a lot of intrepidation out there. The drivers at the moment just gathering themselves, having their last relax. An hour race with a pit stop, a 10-minute pit stop window in the middle at the 25-minute mark of this race, where they will change drivers. Of course, 2 drivers per car, and that's what makes this such an exciting series for me.
It does too, and there's other variables within the compulsory pit stop window we'll get to a little bit later, based on your experience, based on your finishing results in past rounds, but it tends to even the field up. Nobody really gets away in this championship. As we see so far, we've had 10 rounds, 6 different winning combinations, and we have 6 teams still right in this title battle coming down to the final 2 races of the year. They've had the experience, as you say, at the Shanghai International Circuit. We've seen some big moves in recent years at this circuit, and a number of side effects of people making big moves and big dives into some of these tighter corners. Of course, the Formula 1 circuit opened in October 2004, a Herman Tilke designed circuit. He's renowned for building great Formula 1 circuits. Lots of very tight technical stuff, and as a bike man, Steve, you'd appreciate a circuit like this, but it'd make it hard work too. You wouldn't get much of a rest.
It certainly does. I mean, that's what Herman Tilke is good at. He really is good at designing circuits with great overtaking opportunities, slipstreaming opportunities, a great layout. I mean, this is set over a massive amount of land, massive area, 5.5 kilometres long. It really does have a little bit of everything. A couple of parabolic turns into turn 1, turn 2 and 3, and a replication of that as we head out onto the back straight. So pretty much we're set now for a good race, and you can see there Alex Au just waiting, getting ready, hoping that Alex Jung, who starts in his car, gets a great start. I think another thing that we need to consider, keep an eye on the Porsches. We haven't seen too much of them this year, but I've got a feeling that we might see a couple near the front. Darrell Young having one of the best runs that he's had in his VLT car in qualifying, and also Richard Lyons in the number 88 Shanghai car there. Never discount him in conditions like this.
At this circuit in past seasons, in the past we've run the condensed circuit, not the full Formula 1 grid circuit. The man that has been on a charge and really got the results has been Richard Lyons. But we're coming up to turn number 16, the left-hander, field controlled by Alex Jung. He is the pole man, he has the outside. Now, the car alongside is in the title race, 9 points off. They're waiting for the lights. They have to be in formation. Then the race director will give the start, and they're away. We're underway. You see the big Bentley there. That's Adley Fong, pulls out of the slipstream, but he won't go around the outside into turn 1, 2. That's not the place he got best of grip. Richard Lyons up the inside already of the 37 car. Their visibility very, very difficult. Hopefully everybody's got through there cleanly. Jonathan Venter just taking a cautious approach, weaves his way through. That looks like a Porsche that's a little bit wide. They're going backwards for the 37 car, the title contenders. Contact with the reigning champion potentially. That's not the way we want to start this race. Now, what's going to happen when we see safety car? Can Darrell Young get that car going? Up front, though, it's Alex Jung has managed to get away. And Steve, that's not the start the 37 car needed in this championship battle.
No, definitely not. David Arizzo there with all sorts of problems. Probably visibility, very difficult to see what happened with all that spray, but it looks like Darrell Young has made contact with the 37 car, and David Arizzo is running at the back of the field at the moment, but he's got a lot of work to do.
You want to hope there's not too much damage to that 37 BBT Ferrari 488. They started on the front row, currently rear of the field that's running. Less, of course, the number 91 car of Darryl O'Young. Hopefully he's managed to get going. We'll see. Oh, no, he stopped on the circuit. This will be safety car. This would bump the field up. Now, let's have a look at the replay as they run through. Is this a replay? Yes, and you just see going sideways. No, that doesn't necessarily look as if Darryl O'Young was involved in that.
Well,
that could have been an avoiding action.
Somebody's taken the bumper
certainly
bar
there
off
has
the back
been contact.
off of the back of the VLT car. So there's been some sort of contact, whether it's been in a spin. But anyway, Darryl O'Young is sat on the side of the road, and what I thought was going to be a great race for him has turned out to be a nightmare.
I'm sure he thought exactly the same thing, Steve. But now it's Alex Young leading this race as he did last time round when we were here in Shanghai. The big Shangpeng crowd in support in the background, watching their man Richard Lyons range up on the rear of the former Formula One driver.
Now
you
spoke to Richard Lyons, and he's not feeling the best at the moment, is he?
No, he's picked up some sort of bug, an illness, a flu of some kind that has kept him down. He felt he could have got pole yesterday, lights flashing. Not sure why the lights are flashing because...
nothing like a little bit of pressure early on.
Well, no, but you've got to wonder whether or not there'll be messages from the team saying there's safety car, because the number 91 car is parked sideways across the exit of turn 2. So I would suggest at some point here we should see a yellow flag. And those drivers in front of the field, there's the safety car. Okay, so they will extract the number 91 car from turn 2, group the field up, and we'll be ready for a restart. What's interesting is where Davide Rizzo is, position number 10. This is championship. His title rival currently in position number 8. So Edo Liberati has dropped back to 8th position. He lost a place off the start, perhaps in all that melee with Rizzo and possibly 2 with Darryl O'Young. Interesting to see after the race. We'll update you before race 2 this afternoon, the final round of the championship, as to what's happened between these two races as Frank Yu looks on.
Well, if you want to look at the championship at the moment, although Rizzo is in 10th after that spin, Liberati's not doing that well either. He's in 8th position at the moment. So Liberati is not really making the most of his opportunities that he has got with Rizzo making that spin. So Liberati seems to be struggling a little bit in these conditions in the Lamborghini.
Have a look at the restart here. You can see quite comfortable off the line, but visibility, you pointed that out earlier, Steve. It may not be the water resting on the circuit or the falling rain. It could well be the visibility that's a big issue. So you just see...
That's Darryl O'Young.
You can't see. They're in the mid-pack there, just where he might have been involved. Let's have a look as they go through turn 1. So, oh, yes, OK, there, contact. You can see on the outside there, Davide Rizzo and... Darryl O'Young, the reigning champion. He won the championship last year. Let's have a look and see if we can see anything here.
Yeah, look.
He's lost the rear of it and just turned the 37 car around. Yeah. This is not the way that Davide Rizzo wanted to start this. But the good thing here, it looks as though damage may be absolutely minimal on that 37 Ferrari. So there's plenty of opportunity still for them to come through. But frustration for Darryl O'Young. As you say, this would have been a great opportunity for him to get a good result for Craft Bamboo in front of this big Shangpeng crowd.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope that he's got away with that. It looks minimal, but with these GT3 cars nowadays, you have to be. It doesn't take much of a bump to put the steering out or knock a piece of the aerodynamics off, and that really does affect the way that they handle. Not so much in these conditions. Obviously, they have a lot slower speed, about 15% off in the lap time compared to the dry in these conditions. But definitely not the start of the race at the championship. The home race boys, the number 37 BBT team wanted.
There's Andrea Godotti from AF Corsa in Italy, who strongly support this BBT team at each of the races. Car is immaculately prepared every time, never a problem. It's got some of the best teams in the world come out here and are involved in the GT Asia series, and that is one of them, keeping full tabs on that car. So they'll be all over everything that's going on. Any chance of being an issue, they'll bring him straight in. He can rejoin the back of the pack. He doesn't lose anything, but at this stage we haven't seen him down pit lane, so fingers crossed that's not an issue.
In fact, if you want to think back to the end of rounds 9 and 10, what did they do to that Ferrari? They completely pulled it apart, pulled all the panels off and just gave it a new paint job.
Looks like we're up for a restart, Steve. Safety car in, and we go again. Single file this time. Alex Young still at the front of the field. I'm impressed by Adley Fong. young driver who's been doing a lot of driving with Absolute Racing 2 in America in a Bentley Continental GT3, is in position number 3 off 7th starting position, in fact 8th starting position off the line. So he's done a great job, and that is Richard Lyons monstering the rear of the former F1 driver. And Richard Lyons knows the right way to go around here. He's done a lot of driving in Europe, and he could be the man to keep an eye on, but so too that number 15 Lamborghini.
I mean, there's a lot of experience at the front of this field at the moment, isn't there? Richard Lyons, I mean, you can never discount him in conditions like this. It's a long race. But also Alex Young. I mean, boy, how much experience can one person have? He's been there and done that. He knows these Audis inside out, and he knows these conditions inside out. I spoke to him about these Michelin rain tyres. Of course, there's a new Michelin rain tyre here this weekend, and he said that these are some of the best wet weather tyres that he's ever driven on.
Well, he has the experience, as you say, from Formula One to prototypes at Le Mans to sports cars for many, many years, and he's been at the front of the Audi R8 LMS Cup for every year he's competed. In fact, he's had 58 starts and 20 wins, so the guy knows how to drive these particular cars. But he'd be very cautious around here too, and he knows too that Richard Lyons is one of the absolute elite GT drivers in Asia. Been doing it a long time. Super GT champion in Japan in past years, Super Formula champion. Adley Fong a little bit hard on the throttle coming out of turn 10 there. You want to be very careful. I've seen some big accidents down there on the exit of turn 10 in conditions like this in the past, so you want to make sure he's not too heavy on that throttle, and he's got to remember too, he doesn't want to get too much tyre wear under his belt as this race progresses and passes a car that's less than pristine to Andrew Kim for the second leg.
And of course, the Alex Young out front, they've only had the one podium this year, so they really do need to try and make this one count. But at the moment, it doesn't look like he can get away from the number 88 Shangpeng car of Richard Lyons.
It's Fabian Fior from the Absolute Racing team, one of the team directors, watching on board, just keeping a close eye on his man, Adley Fong. Now, we look at it, it's Alex Young leading the race from Richard Lyons. We see them on screen. He's in the Shangpeng car going through Shangpeng corner number 14. Adley Fong is in position 3. Marco Mappelli on his debut. He's now a factory Lamborghini driver in position number 4. Duncan Tappy, the Englishman, he has come from rear of field up to position 5. Is in title contention. This could make a big impact on this title race for his teammate Vutikorn. Position number 6 is Sean Tong, who got a little bit caught up in that starting melee and dropped back. He's now making up some ground. And Edo Liberati back to position number 7, and he is in this title race too. Then it is Descheng is in position number 8. Davide Rizzo position number 9. Now the two title contenders are just 2 seconds apart. You'll see them come on screen now. There is Liberati just turning into turn 3 now. Descheng behind him, and the red and yellow car, of course, local drivers Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu will take over after the compulsory pit stop. Now, bringing up the rear of this field is still Johnny Venter, which I'm very, very surprised about. He's now 18 seconds behind the field. Now, I wonder whether he's come into pit lane, whether he's had a problem. Yeah, but that's certainly further back than you would expect to see a 3-time race winner in season 2016.
Could have had a spin. He could have had a spin or something along those lines. But, I mean, the thing with Johnny Venter, he hasn't done any racing this year. Most of these other guys are doing 2 or 3 series and racing all over the world. But Johnny's he's only had the 7 race meetings this year, so he's really struggling to find some form.
Big move by Tappy. That's a great move going into turn 9 around the inside and monstering the rear of Mappelli there. Now, these two drivers have done a lot of racing against each other in Europe. Duncan Tappy's a former factory driver for Bentley. We saw him come out last year, drove with Jackie Young for the team, was expected to do some more racing in Europe this year. There was an availability, of course, with this team after the opening round, and Duncan stepped in, and he's been magic ever since he's got into the car with Vutikorn, and they're regular podium finishes. In fact, so much so that Vutikorn is currently 3rd in this championship battle. He's a little bit further back, but this could change things. If the contenders, you see Jerome Mule on the left, that was Andrea Amici in the middle, talking with Andrea Caldarelli, who is one of the team bosses of this Triple F racing team by ACM, just in consultation. But they've put in a big effort, the Lamborghini Squadra Course team. And Edo Liberati was telling me that in all the cars that Lamborghini has worldwide this year, this is the one chance they have of walking away with a GT championship. So they are going very hard at this during the Shangpeng Race of Shanghai, the final event of GT Asia.
Bit of a moment there for Mappelli as he just went a little bit sideways into turn 16. But he held it all together, and just look at that vision there. It's so difficult in conditions like this to get your judgment wrong, braking marker point wrong. these guys are really up against it. Alex Young out front, of course, with the best conditions. Clear screen from the start of the race. That's got to be helping him.
That looked like the number 37's got at the head of their team, their title rival. So that, wonder whether there's been an issue there for Liberatia, whether Davide Rizzo's just found some really good, strong speed. He's taking a very different line. If you look at where the car sits on the circuit, I noticed as he came out of turn 3 last time, it almost looked slower. I thought he was a little bit offline, or maybe he had some sort of issue as a result of that contact with Daryl O'Young. But gee, he's made up some time. In fact, last time round he did a 2:21, Liberatia at 2:22. So that is position change. This is for the championship. They're 9 points apart. If they finish like this, the 37 car will have gained maybe 2 points. He needs to get further forward.
You can never count out that Ferrari, especially here. You've got to think that Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu actually met each other at this circuit something like 10 years ago, and they've been teammates ever since. And they've done so many laps in conditions like this around here. Nothing to lose. Don't want to finish second. Don't think they've won a championship before, so what a way to win.
They've been in the championship hunt every year since they started in 2014. They'd desperately love to win this one.
Well, if they have a good day today, they might be smiling at the end of it.
Well, it's interesting. They first appeared, I remember the event. It was 2014, opening round of the 2014 GT Asia Series in South Korea. Nobody really knew who these guys were in this red and yellow Ferrari at that stage, a 458. They went, well, they knew everybody knew who they were at the end. They'd won both races back to back, even despite compulsory pit stop penalties by virtue of winning the race. We'll explain a bit more about that later. But by the end of the season, they were right in the title race. It went down to the wire at Macau. Macau was the season closer for the first 4 years of the series. Oh, a little bit skiddy under brakes there. He went very wide. In fact, I thought he may have almost run off. But just the tail end of the number 6 Takshun double duck car, the Phoenix Racing Asia car that is leading this with Alex Young at the front, just a little bit deep under brakes. But he managed to gather it all up, fire back across the line, and 2:18, that's a pretty good pace. That's the best lap time. He did a 2:19.999 last time round.
Yeah,
2:19.4 for Lyons. So Lyons is certainly not catching him all that much. That slight error allowed a little bit of a change there that time. But that Shangpeng car, new colours.
Oh,
no! That's more contact. That's the championship.
I don't know if that's contact or some sort of mechanical
looks like damage
failure
to the front of the car,
yeah.
unless he's popped the bonnet. But there's damage to the number 37 car. This is tragic. This was the championship contender. This opens the door for Liberati and Amici, who are having a bad run themselves, but there's nothing worse than being in championship contention and failing to finish. Now, we might see a replay here. The car's stopped, but the bonnet's got damage. He's hit something.
I don't know if he's hit.
Maybe under brakes, but the bonnet bits missing,
damaged.
the splitter's damaged.
Yeah.
That is just tragedy.
I don't know if there's another
for the number 37 car. He certainly was in the thick of battle looking for position. There is Jerome Mule and Andrea Amici. Gee, that's not good news for them, but it certainly makes their life better and a little bit more easy.
They're definitely a lot more relaxed now for the
pressure comes off. Absolutely. Yeah. Safety car again for the second time.
Well,
but how often have you seen this over your years of being involved in motorsport? Weather conditions like this tends to prompt this sort of thing.
In conditions like this, Sean, I mean, you do get this sort of thing happening because you push and you push and push, you know, like you see the guy in front going a second a lap quicker, so you try, and then it just doesn't work out. The reason for that is because the surface isn't consistent, or it's not as consistent as it is when it's dry. Of course, puddles, different grip levels form, and you know, you find guys getting themselves caught out. What actually happened to Davide Rizzo, I'm not sure, because no other cars seem to be involved in that incident.
Yeah,
unless he ran into the back of somebody.
Well, possibly he's just under brakes too deep and maybe clipped the curb. That's quite significant damage, but there doesn't appear to be another damaged car. Nothing yet has come into pit lane. Now, it certainly isn't game over. We just need to point this out. If currently the Liberati Amici car stay in the position they're in, which is position number 7, they will get 7 points. They lead the championship by 9 points. They would be 16 points up on the 37 car, who starts on the front row. The two contenders side by side for the second race this afternoon. The problem with that, of course, is they have to finish. I mean, then the 37 car needs to win the race, and they need the 55 car not to finish. Possible, certainly possible. So it's not game over yet, but this is not the way that the 37 team, the local heroes, wanted to start this race. They'll be very, very disappointed. Let's hope there's no terminal damage to that Ferrari 488.
Well, you can see how the fortunes change in conditions like this. Another safety car out on track at the moment. Richard Lyons gets to regroup again, catch up to the back of Alex Young. Alex probably just wants to try and break away out front. But, gee, it would be... I can't wait to find out what happened there, because that wasn't just a straightforward incident. He's definitely tapped someone. Perhaps he's lost it under brakes early on going into that last turn 14. And, you know, it might have turned into the wall and spun him out. There's definitely smoke coming out of the back of the car as well. So we have to wait and find out a little bit more as to what happened.
Well, we're talking about compulsory pit stop. Here is Andrea Amici, who shares the car with Edo Liberati, a fellow Lamborghini Squadra Course junior member of the development team with Lamborghini. He will step behind the wheel of the number 55 Roger Dubois liveried car, and they will be looking to try and improve on the position they currently sit. Strange to see them down in position number 7, but they did admit yesterday they really didn't want to see rain. They didn't have the setup they felt to be as competitive as the Ferrari here. So it's still a long way to go, but compulsory pit stop window should open in about 4.5 minutes. Then it'll be interesting to see who stays out and who comes in.
Yeah, I think you'll see the championship leading car, the number 55 Lamborghini, coming quite soon. There you go. You can see they're getting the car off of the racing line, towing it off. Still smoke coming out of the back of that.
Well, if you recall, they did have a nasty failure. I think that was at Fuji this year, wasn't it, when they were running very, very strongly, and it was a very, very rare failure. Now, this is their car, as you rightly pointed out. After the last event in August, they took all the bodywork off and repainted it. They put that much effort and care into that 37 car. It is almost brand new every time it hits the circuit. Mechanical failures very rarely happen in the GT Asia Series because of the level of care and respect and effort these teams put in. So I'd be surprised to hear there is any kind of mechanical issue. Yeah, there is the second of the Shangpeng drivers, Frank Yu, been in this championship, the longest running driver in the GT Asia Series, has done just about every race event the series has contested since it first began 6 seasons ago. Yeah,
he's 53 years old now, of course, but he's not showing any signs of slowing down. In fact, this is in these conditions, he's driven the best I've seen him drive in a long time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Frank get behind the wheel. But following after Richard Lyons, it's definitely a big act to follow.
Definitely a big act to follow. Now might be an opportune time. Safety car lights are still on. Hopefully they can clear that car away and the lights will go off as they go down. I think, yes, they have just gone off. So they'll come out of turn 14, shoot up to 15, into the turn 16 left-hander, and we'll be away again. Pit stop window will open mid-race. There are different times that each of these teams are stopping. The base time for the bulk of the teams is 75 seconds from the time they enter pit lane to a designated line to the time they exit pit lane. If you go out early, you'll get a drive-through penalty. We don't see too many teams make that mistake. But there are additional penalties by virtue of the skills of some of the drivers. We'll explain that a little bit more, and also the positions they've finished in the last few races. As Alex Young fires across the line to start lap number 8, 7 in the book now, and the Malaysian driver is going to get away. He wants to open up as much of a gap as he can before he hands that car across to his teammate. Of course, Alex Au, who did an admirable job last time. In fact, before rain fell in that August event, he was basically the man we would have pinned the result on. But as the rain started to fall, it was Anthony Liu, if you recall, charged through from a mile back in the 37 Ferrari to cross the line side by side with Woodicorn, as it turned out. 3 cars covered by 0.2 of a second. One of the best GT races we'd ever seen. Don't know whether that's going to happen this time. It's certainly a lot wetter, but the field's bunched up once more. Anything could happen. Compulsory pit stop window opens at minute number 25, I guess. So 35 minutes to go. We'll see who dives in pit lane. But given most of the pros are in the car, unless they're a silver-silver combination again, we'll explain that. The pro drivers tend to stay out to the end of the pit window, stop and put the AM drivers. Amateur driver is what the AM stands for. Pro driver being professionals. They are classified as drivers who make their living out of racing, and there are a number of them in this field. Now, just to go back to the quality of the GT Asia Series field, the point for me is Richard Lyons closes in once more at turn 9. Very deep there for Alex Young, but he knows what he's doing. There's also good grip offline too, so he's well versed with understanding that. The other thing that's been important is seeing some of those drivers like a Marco Mappelli, Jerome Mule, who was involved in the development of the Lamborghini Huracan. They've come out here, and we were only talking about it earlier. We said, I think the words were, and no disrespect to Jerome Mule, he was a little disappointing last time because we expected somebody of that calibre from Europe that's racing at the top level all the time to come here and be immediately one of the quickest. That's not the case.
We've seen it all throughout the year. Gian-Maria Bruno at Fuji. Others, we had Maro Engel with AMG here last time round.
Yes.
None of them, it just shows you the quality of all of the drivers, including our AM drivers here this weekend, that none of the super hot internationals have been able to come here and win a race.
No, that's exactly right. It's been the consistent ones. And in fact, Amici and Liberati are considered probably a little step down below the top guys for Lamborghini, but they're matching the best guys when they come out here to support them. So this is really of great advantage to their careers too, and they know how important winning this championship would be, and they've both admitted on behalf of Lamborghini to be a proud moment. That crowd is still waving the Shangpeng flags. They're loving every second of this. It's great racing, and it's a pity to see that there's not more of these guys mixed in the middle of battle, but visibility is so bad that I think they're probably taking the cautious approach this early in the piece, and they've got to remember too, in another 3 hours they have another 60-minute race ahead of them, so they have to get through this cleanly. The idea is to finish, so again, fingers crossed that 37 car is not too badly damaged.
Porsche have never had higher than third in this championship this year, so sitting in second at the moment, it's a pretty good achievement for Richard Lyons, and especially when he's chasing down the man out front, Alex Young in the Audi, who also hasn't won a race in this championship this year. So this is a very important stint for Alex Young.
Well, it just goes to show you how important this series has been and how close and tight it's been. We're talking about at the start, the two guys at the top of the championship, the 37 and the 55, 9 points apart. They were running earlier in the stages of this race towards the back of the field, yet other guys who weren't really in contention or just on the bubble were running at the front of the field. This will change everything potentially. Now, the 55 car is in position number 7. That's still not necessarily where they need to be. It's a safe position. The important thing is a safe position. The unfortunate thing for them that they have to be very careful of course, Steve, is they will stop in pit lane for 112 seconds. Their rivals, the 37 car, will stop for 91 seconds. That's 21 seconds less. The reason for that is because they've been so consistently good on the podium. If you win this race, you will get an additional time penalty. If you're second or third, you will also get an additional time penalty. It accumulates based on your success. On top of that, if you're a silver-silver driver pairing, to match you with the pros and the AMs, they will give you an additional time penalty. Once you add all those together, it may sound complicated. The idea is to parity adjust the drivers and the teams so that the race comes in the closing laps. And when you have a race finish after 60 minutes like we did for round 9 of the championship with cars separated by 0.2 of a second, you'd have to argue that the formula's pretty good.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, this is one of the best formulas that I've seen in any motorsport around the world, because you could never tell who's going to win the race heading into a race weekend. I mean, there's been a smattering of podiums and victories throughout the whole field, and that is just a testament to the GT Asia Series. And you know, I do believe the organisers have got the mix right to make it one of the most exciting championships and mix it up at the front. I mean, it's not a series where you can win every race, which is great to see.
There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee every time you start who is going to win. They may have been strong before. They may have been strong at a previous event. They may be leading the points. Look where we are now. I mean, the points leaders, I'll use the word languishing in 8th position. That's how tight this is. Now, that's not a write-off. Their last lap round was a 2:25. The leaders were doing 2:21s. That is starting to drop the pace a little bit, but there's still a long way to go. They need to finish. Their title rivals are sitting in the garage. They're not going to complete another lap. They're not going to record any points. So there is a certain level of safety that needs to come into it, especially in conditions like this. And it also shows just how important the championship is. They could have won this championship without winning a race this year. Fortunately, they did, but they could have won the championship without winning a race just by being consistent and focusing on finishes. So it's just that tight. It is that close, and it is such a fantastic championship. It's been a joy to be involved with over the last couple of years, and this year has really taken another step up.
Two guys out front now with a 4-second lead over Adley Fong, who's in the number 7 Bentley, just behind these guys. So the two guys out front, and what I would say are perhaps the best handling cars in the wet. The Porsche certainly is an easy car to drive with its flat 6 configuration. There's Frank.
That's Alex Howe getting ready to go.
Ready.
Jump into the lead car, of course, and the Bentley guys were all throwing their hands in the air this morning as I walked past before the start of the race. That the weather wasn't supposed to come. We were supposed to have 2 dry days, but the rain started early yesterday morning. It eased off a little bit for the second practice session, and at that stage we saw the track record or lap record smashed
they went
by
into a low,
Duncan Tappy. I mean, they took 9/10 off the pace that was set, the pole time, by Alex Young when it was warmer here a couple of months ago. Interestingly too, the data on the Bentley was showing that in the August event at the end of the main straight it was doing 262, 263 kilometres an hour. Yesterday they got as high as 271. So the cooler conditions gave the turbo 4-litre, the twin turbo 4-litre Bentley, that extra 8 kilometres of straight line speed. So it does have an impact. Now here's the first one. Sean Dong is in, 2-time winner this year. He'll hand that A8 by Bathing 8 Audi, Hong Kong Audi, the gold car, across to teammate and Phoenix Racing Asia team boss, co-team boss with Ernst Moser from Germany. He will hand him the drive of that car, and we've seen Marchi do some pretty impressive things this year. Because former Audi Cup winner, multiple champion open wheelers, one of the best drivers ever to come out of Asia. He likes to joke that he's an old boy, not an old man. He's turned 40. He's about a month younger than Alex Young, his teammate, and those two drivers, despite their age, have been never driving better. Now that looks to be the 55 or the 15. That would be the 15 perhaps. It's the 55 in fact.
Yeah, I thought they would come in early.
They've come in, so Edo Liberati out of the car, bolting Andrea Amici in, and it'll be, be able to see what they do. Compensation time, you see that on screen, 112 seconds. That is a lot. So Andrea Amici has a big job ahead of himself because he needs to gain as many points as he can out of this race.
Comparing that to the compensation time of the number 5 car that we saw in the pits before, they only have to stop for 91 seconds. So that just gives you an idea on how that all works out. There really is a big discrepancy in the times. But if you're in the pits for a long time, it means you've had some good races.
Well, the other thing too, of course, is that will limit and restrict your time during the course of the race. So for the second race, watching pit lane, I would suggest that, they're watching the monitors. The Shangpeng car is still right up behind the number 6 double duck car of Alex Young. These guys will go towards the end of that pit window, but they have to be in the pits before the window closes. You see bottom right of screen, 7 minutes still to go in this pit window. I shouldn't expect you'll see either of those drivers into pit lane until we get to the closing stages.
They have to be careful though, because remember that it's a 2-minute 20 lap time around here, so it's a lot longer than normal, so you have to make sure you get it right. They only can safely do 2 more laps, or they may run into a bit of trouble, because if they have a bit of a spin or a moment on that extra lap that they feasibly could get in, then they're going to be in big trouble by missing that pit window.
Yeah, it's all part of the strategy, and there's even more come into it in conditions like this, depending on the pace of your two drivers. Alex Young looked like he went in fairly deep there too. But again, it's grip levels. We often talk about this. You see the cars go offline, you think that's a strange line to take, but often in wet conditions, that's where the grip is. And especially with cars with something like 600 brake horsepower, you want to be very careful where you apply the throttle.
The number 15 car in the pits now for their driver change. Mule will get in the car. Napelli out, having his first run in this championship. Sure, he would have liked to have had a dry run, but pits time stop for them, 100 seconds. So not quite as long as their team sister car.
Part of the reason for that, of course, is their driver gradings, the silver graded drivers. Now, these driver gradings come from, in the most part, from the FIA International Driver Gradings. There's a worldwide list. You're on that list if you're a driver. Depending on your grading, that's where you slot in. Depends on whether or not you can drive with a bronze driver. If you're a gold, like Alex Young, former F1 driver, he drives with a bronze driver. Who's a gentleman driver, an amateur driver. That is Alex Howe. He's about to step behind the wheel of the number 6 car. And you've got also the 88 car, which has got Richard Lyons, who is a full professional driver in any explanation of the word, driving alongside Frank Yu. He's a very, very talented amateur.
I love watching these two cars out on track together. I mean, they're two completely differently designed cars, and you can see in these wet conditions the different lines that they take on circuit, and also the different areas that they're strong. The Porsche looks like it may have a little bit more mid-speed in the middle of the corner, and the Audi's very strong on the brakes and the tip-in. It's really good to showcase the different strengths of each type of car.
Now, here we go. We're talking about the amount of time in pit lane. That is the 55 car who's completed its pit stop, about to be lapped by the leaders. Now, they won't be, because the leaders will have to come in, probably not this lap. They'll, I expect, go one more lap, but that's just how much time you spend in pit lane. The leaders, too, have to have their compulsory pit stop, and they will stop for a significant amount of time.
Well, the car that's going to stop the least amount of time here is the Shanghai car, because, of course, that's a gold-bronze combination.
Absolutely. They'll spend their 75 seconds, or of course they've got Richard Lyons behind the wheel, but they'll spend 75 seconds in pit lane. Big advantage for them. Pressure a little bit then comes back onto Frank Yu. Now, Alex Young and Alex Au,
look at the line difference.
Yeah, very different line difference. We're talking about the grip levels on the circuit. They too will stop for just 75 seconds. So this race will continue on with the two amateur drivers. Then they'll have a fairly lengthy, I would expect, a fairly lengthy gap back to the next driver in the field, which you would expect to be one of the Bentleys. So they're still motoring through. In fact, you look at the gap now. Adley Fong, position 3, is 11 seconds back now from this battle for the lead. Then it is Tappy a little bit further back.
Notoriously, the big Bentleys are, a little bit difficult to drive in these conditions with their big turbos. They have a big kick off the bottom end, which is all right when you've got a nice pair of big slicks on, but you can see them both in the pits there now.
Speak of the devil, they are there. Now, whether or not Soa has taken over the number 8 car from Jonathan Venter, we're not quite sure. Venter may still be circulating out there, because those two drivers very evenly matched. That's Andrew Kim behind the wheel. Now, Andrew Kim's been over in America alongside Adley Fong, driving in the American GT3 Championship. He's been driving in what they call a GTC class, slightly different level of performance, but in a Bentley Continental GT3. So Andrew Kim's performance this year has continued to improve. He appeared a couple of years ago in the Audi One Make Cup and was very impressive there. Had fairly limited experience, but Absolute Racing had picked him up, working alongside Adley Fong, who's become one of the best GT drivers in the world. Has been a regular podium finisher in America and, of course, a race winner here in GT Asia. Finished the championship second last year alongside Keita Soa. Adley Fong, very talented driver.
These guys are cutting it fine. If you have a look, there's 2 minutes 25 left. They're definitely going to have to come in this lap as they head into turn 14.
Visibility's worse. The rain has intensified. In fact, the lap times have dropped from 2:19s to 2:21. So this is actually getting worse. This is not a good sign for race 2, because this means the conditions will continue. Now let's watch. Alex Young, on the brakes. He'll go straight down to pit lane. And Richard Lyons following through. He can close up a little bit as they come through. They can do whatever speed to a point that they want down here, but they also need to be very careful that they don't come and start. There's the line. We need to be doing 60 kilometre an hour down to your relative pit bay. The Shangpeng Bay, of course, is in front of this big crowd that is enjoying the Shangpeng race of Shanghai. They've been very animated since they first started pouring in the gates. That was very early this morning when we came in, Steve. So you can hear them. I can hear them over the sound of the cars. Very impressive. They're loving this. This is fantastic atmosphere as we head towards the final round of the 2016 season.
Well, there's only one car they're barracking for, and that's the car on your screen right there, the Craft Bamboo Racing Machine. 75 seconds in the pits, along with the car that leads the race at the moment, Alex Young's car as well. So the race is on for the victory.
Interesting to make sure that everybody has come in pit lane and completed their stop. We've got a wide shot. We might see the others as now that is Daryl Young. Well, that's continued. That's great news. It's probably got Toy Birnbachty embedded behind the wheel now. Give him some valuable laps, but great that that car has restarted. That's fantastic news. As the Shangpeng car goes, look at the crowd, a lot of them on their feet, waving the flags in support. This is for the front of this race. Now, this is Alex Au and Frank Yu.
They have to, if they leave the pits before 75 seconds, they'll get a drive-through penalty. So they need to be careful there. That is going to be close.
That was right on the limit because they came in reverse order.
They
exactly
did.
the same stop time. So you want to be very careful that there isn't any errors there. Unless there was a drama, of course, with the number 6 car with the changeover of the drivers. The reason, of course, there is a 75-second stop is there's no pressure on the teams to swap the drivers over. They need to connect their Hans devices. They need to connect their belts. They need to get the driver comfortable and in position and be able to do what they need to make that driver change efficiently without cutting any corners.
That's right. You don't want to make a mistake when it comes to safety.
And if they get caught with a belt or any of those things, it may well have been the reason why you see a reverse of the order. But this is a position now that Alex Au, you can hear the crowd from here. We're in a booth in the middle of the circuit. We can hear the crowd cheering. This will be down to Alex Howe. He's in a similar position during round 9 of the championship, if you recall, over the closing stages of the race. He looked to be the man that was capable of taking the race winners. Richard Lyons looks off. He's done his job. He's not feeling well, but he's done everything the team wanted him to do. And the Craft Bamboo racing team, the Shangpeng racing team, can be very proud of their Ulsterman, Richard Lyons. And now it's on to Frank Yu, the team boss, to see if he can bring this one home.
Yeah, what a race that Richard Lyons has set up now for Frank Yu. And I've just got a feeling that Frank is going to pull this off. I really do. I've been watching his driving throughout the weekend, and he seems to have gelled well with the Porsche in these wet conditions. I just think that he's going to be able to do it. He's already pulling a gap on Alex Howe, who sits in second at the moment, which is not a bad result, because remember, they've only had the one podium this year as well. So if they can finish on the podium with the silver Audi R8 of Phoenix Racing, that'll be a great result for them too. But it's not over until it's over.
It's not over until it's over. 67 race starts to this point for Frank Yu in the GT Asia Series. I don't think he's actually ever missed one. 5 race wins. Unfortunately for he and Richard Lyons, they've been a combination for a number of years, even last year when they were very, very competitive. They've not actually shared a victory together. So this would be meteoric if they could manage to take this race win. It is the Shangpeng Race of Shanghai. It's the Shangpeng Racing number 88 rather, Porsche GT3R, and these two drivers have not shared a victory together. Well, and a great opening lap from Frank Yu. He is pulling away, as you say, from Alex Howe. He needs to still be very careful. He doesn't have that knowledge that Richard Lyons had of just how much grip the car has on this circuit. Richard can give him all the counselling he likes. The team can explain what they've heard back from Richard, but until you can actually drive and feel it from the seat of your pants, you're not going to know.
Once again, you see the different lines between the two different cars there with different drivers. It just shows you how different cars can get different grip due to the aero packages or the way they handle. Engine performance, of course. There's Alex Young. Great stint by him in the first part of this race. Intrapuvasak out on track as well now.
Currently position number 4. There's Li Chao immediately behind him in that Group M Porsche. That, of course, identical specification to the two Craft Bamboo racing cars.
They joined the championship, of course, in round 9 and 10 at Shanghai earlier on in the year. So they're not new to the championship. And I'm guessing that they're going to be pretty happy if they can pick up a 4th.
Well, they're pressing pretty hard. I mean, this is the battle for position number 3. Here's the battle for the lead. Now, it looks like Alex Howe's picked up a bit of time there. I wonder if Frank's just lost some ground somewhere. It's going to be interesting to see how this one unfolds, because very experienced campaigner Frank Yu, as we say, 67 starts in this series. Alex Howe has just joined the series this year, so this is race number 11 for him, but very well versed in Audis. He's an Audi Cup Am Cup champion in the past, in recent years, so he's well versed with these cars too.
Once again, and you could just see a graphic illustration of how good the Audi is in braking, a good feel on heavy braking and turning in. Made up a lot of ground on the man in front, Frank Yu, in that area. But as they head onto the back straight, another advantage the Porsche's got now, it is affected by the heat a lot, and it's been hot everywhere that we've been this year. This is the coolest conditions we've had. Should be a bigger advantage for the Porsche than some of the other cars out there. More
Absolutely.
Power.
Down to turn 14, closed up again, Alex Howe. It's one thing to close up. The next thing is to have the visibility to get past. Toiber and Barkley tips into turn 1. And sideways for the VLT Porsche. You see the damage it's carrying from that start incident. Hopefully it doesn't touch anything, keeps out of the gravel, manages to continue on. So they've lost the rear end of that car. That will affect the aerodynamics, and this is a fairly high-speed turn.
It is. You need aerodynamics to hold it.
He can't blame himself on grip levels, I don't think, too much for that one, because the position of the car is probably, or the condition of the car is
yes, but that's also 2 times that they've lost the rear in that car in similar sort of circumstances. Perhaps they need to look at the setting and put a little bit more weight or downforce on the rear of the car for the start of race.
Look at that crowd.
12.
Isn't it fantastic? Phoenix Racing Asia team are comparing notes, trying to work out what Alex Howe can do. But look at the replay. Oh, that's not the place to have a spin. That's down at turn 10.
That's another spin.
That's another spin. There might be a bigger issue with the car, so I'd expect that the Craft Bamboo Racing team will bring the VLT Porsche in. Take a good look at that, because he's not learning. Oh, no, that's Alex Howe off the circuit. So they've looked at a bit of a dive down. That's further around the circuit. That's down to turn 6. It's coming through turn 7 now. So I wonder whether he took a dive down there and may not have been able to pull it up.
Well, like you said, the conditions are pretty bad out there at the moment. Looks like the rain stopped, but Alex Young is certainly looking a little bit pensive as he waits to see what happens.
Vuticorn, position 3.
Look who's coming through.
That's Marchie Lee. Thanks for coming, Marchie Lee. Now, how much further back is he? He is currently 30 seconds back from the leaders. Now, last time round, Marchie Lee did a 2:23. The leaders are doing 2:24s, 2:23s. Okay, so they're pretty much keeping pace with the lead pack. But Marchie will have got the hang of the car. He's been in it a little bit longer. Now, there's the VLT car with Toyber and Barkty. He's brought it back into pit lane. They'll be looking at what they can do to check there's no further damage. As we say, 3 hours after the conclusion of this race until race 2, the round 12 of the 2016 GT Asia Series Championship. And that will be the event that concludes this title battle. Now, that is Kaitasawa on screen, battling with Andrea Amici. This is the championship points leaders. They're in position 9. If they take the Bentley, that'll be up to position 8. To put it into perspective, they're 53.9 seconds behind race leader Frank Hughes. So they've got a lot of work to do. They may get to 8th, but if they only get to 8th position, at this rate, then unless their teammates somehow, there's some teamwork, allow them to move through to position number 7, they will only potentially take 6 points away from this race, and that's not enough to give them the championship, which is good for us. It takes it all the way down to the wire, but best lap time at the moment, 2:22.
Yeah, definitely not enough to give them the championship, but that will be a handy 6 points heading into the final round, giving them a 15-point lead over the BBT team boys. Hopefully they can get their car back out for race 12. Still waiting to find out what sort of damage was sustained on that number 37 car. But the big thing the number 55 car has to do, the Italians in the Triple F Racing by ACM car, is they have to finish this race and get the points and put it in the bag.
Of course, the most important thing, the last thing you need in a championship battle is to have a DNF. Their consistency this year has been fantastic. They've only had the one DNF. Of course, that was the very first race of the year. Remember, Edo Liberati deep in under brakes into, I think, turn 4 at South Korea and clipped the car that's actually leading this race.
Yeah.
Clipped Richard Lyons and took him out of the lead of this race. Now, that was an error. He admitted it. He admitted he'd made a mistake. He pulled out of the slipstream of a following car and was unable to pull the Lamborghini up, and they made contact.
And
he learned from that.
If you think half a lap or a couple of laps before that, he also clipped somebody else in the braking area as well, didn't he? Ran into the back of someone. So these boys certainly know how to play hard if they have to.
Well, another one who knows how to play hard is Kaitasawa, the Japanese veteran in the number 8 car, 3-time winner this year. He knows how to drive around this circuit in all kinds of conditions. He also knows how to drive a very wide Bentley. It'll be up to him as to whether or not he wants to let the championship points leader through. There's no guarantee Andrea Amici can get through. The other thing Amici's got to be aware of is there's nothing to lose for the Venta and Soa car. They need to also win this race. They're not going to do it, but they want to take maximum points away. So Amici's going to have to make a clean pass. As you said, you bump any of these modern-day GT3 cars, you've got dive planes in corners, you've got flat fours, you've got rear diffusers. You damage any of that, and it can be game over to the tune 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds a lap. And they don't need that. They need maximum points. So they need to be careful, they need to finish, and they need to make sure they're there to fight in race 2 this afternoon.
We just saw a shot of Alf Bora before in the pits with a wry smile on his face. I think he's pretty happy with the way his boys are going at the moment. Sure, the position in the race, not the best, but for the championship, I think he's quite happy at the moment. A little bit of luck going their way, of course. Rizzo and Lou on the sidelines, wondering what it is that they have to do. Hopefully they're trying to get their car back to the pits and prepare it for the next race. Marchie Lee up the inside.
Oh, that's a great move. He's already moved into position number 5. He's about to go for position number 4. One of the most aggressive drivers in Asia. Oh, you can see how deep under brakes. Podium did everything he could to pull it up, but Marchie was right up under his rear wing. It's only a matter of time until that gold A8 by Bathing Ape Audi R8 LMS GT3 gets past the Bentley and sets off in pursuit of Adderley Fong. Now, Adderley Fong is a little bit further up the road, 10 seconds in fact, but his pace is pretty good too, so they may not be able to get that far, but these are valuable points. Both Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim, it's Andrew Kim behind the rear wheel rather, I should point out, and Marchie Lee and Sean Thong are still in this championship battle. They could still be in contention going through to this final race, so it's an important thing now for that gold Audi to move past the Bentley and get into position, because that Bentley is also in this title race.
Yeah, Marchie Lee is the fastest man on track at the moment. A couple of seconds a lap quicker than our leader at the moment. As he tries to go around the outside, you can't do it there, Marchie, but you can set yourself up for the next turn.
Oh, he's done it too. It looks like he's going to keep the inside running now. We know Woody's a gentleman. He's not going to move across.
Oh! Contact!
Oh, that could have been dangerous. Probably a lack of visibility. He probably didn't expect that Marchie Lee was there. But anyway, he's taken the position. Hopefully no damage to either car, and that allows Marchie to move forward. Now, here's where Alex Howe's just gone deep again down at turn 14. He needs to be careful doing that, but no damage. Plenty of runoff here. It's an F1 circuit. That's a good thing. So he can carry on and continue to take this battle to Frank Yu.
Well,
but now,
that
3.6 seconds between the leaders. So this looks very much like the perfect storm for Shangpeng at the Shangpeng race of Shanghai. A brilliant result, and this would be everything that Frank Yu would want to finish his season.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he's just driving perfectly out the front at the moment. As you said, 3.6 seconds gap, but look at the gap that Marchie Lee has already. He is certainly on a charge in the golden Audi and driving like a man possessed. I think it was a great move at the start of the year to put him in the car second. Most of the pro drivers, of course, take the first stint, but Marchie decided to start second, and it certainly pays off at the end of this first race where he's up against these guys, making the most of it. Up the inside into Puvasak on the number 96 car of Lee. Good move there by him as well. Oh no!
Frank Yu's come off, the race leader. The race leader is off the circuit.
He's moved, he's in second now.
Oh, that's disappointing. Now, in fact, he's third. Andrew Kim's been on the charge. Taken away position number 2 as well, so back to third. Frank Yu needs to hang on to that and keep this alive. That's frustration. He's doing such a brilliant job. Let's go on board.
This is into
maybe
turn
just
1.
a little bit offline.
No, I reckon
deep in.
The rear's come around.
It's the rear again.
Exactly like the sister car.
As you predicted. A little bit of work the team may need to do before race 2, but such a brilliant job. Anyway, he's still in it.
Let's luckily he kept it running, Sean.
Consider that, he kept it pretty much out of the gravel. That won't affect him too much. But now in position number 3, his pace was great. In fact, compared to the man who's now in front of him, Andrew Kim, he was faster last time round, so he's capable of taking back position number 2. But that now gives a handy lead to Alex Howe by 2 seconds with, what have we got, 12 minutes still remaining in this race. So still a long way from over. There's a long way to go in this race, and the one that's going to make the most out of this, I think, is keep an eye on the number 5 gold Audi. He could well be the one that takes advantage from this, and this really starts to mix the championship up again.
Yeah, well, we've got a few laps left. He's 18 seconds off the lead. He could probably get up to Fong and Kim in third, but it's going to be difficult to see what he can do. Liberati and Amici down in 8th position, right behind the sister car of Mapelli and Mull behind the wheel at the moment, so they're just 2 seconds behind them.
Well, it's interesting. They've got past that battle as Frank Yu now ranges up on the rear of the number 7 Bentley. That's a longer gap than 2 seconds, I'll tell you. It must have been the time last time around. That's a quite significant lead for Alex Howe. He's well and truly got in the bag. This will be great for that team too as we head towards the last round of the championship. Round the outside, not sure that'll work. Depends on how good the brakes on the Porsche are.
He might
do the crossover.
Yeah, you can
take the position
up.
away.
He's setting himself up.
A drag race down to 15 and 16. No, hasn't been able to do it, but it was a nice theory. It certainly showed that Frank Yu's got some pace. Don't think you'd want to go up the inside there, too risky. But that shows that Porsche's still got plenty of speed. What a great drive by Frank Yu in the Shangpeng Porsche as we get towards the closing laps of this race. Now, just under now 11 minutes remaining.
Of course, there's radio contact in these cars. Back to the pits, you can imagine the messages going to the number 6 car at the moment. Stay calm, Alex. All he's got to do is he's got a 12-second lead as Alex out at the moment. That's a great lead.
Very sideways on the exit. Yeah, very taily, the Porsche. Been very fast in a straight line, but maybe that's the balance they've taken, is to take a load off the back to give them a bit more straight line speed.
But yes, that is possible, but you've got to imagine that Frank Yu now is also flustered. I mean, he's spun out of the lead of the race, and now he wants to give everything he can. They've already had a third. They haven't had a second. He's got to work hard to try and get it. Andrew Kim is no fool. He knows what he's doing out there as well. As you said, he's had a lot of experience this year. So the man in the number 88 car has got to try and take a deep breath, smooth himself out and try and move back into that second place. But I think first place is going to be difficult from here.
You can see on the splits there, lots of green sectors. It shows you that Frank has the pace quite comfortably over that number 7 Bentley. So this still is a long way from over. Now, how much did Marchie Lee pick up last time round? He did a 2:23. Well, Frank, after he spun, did a 2:38, but Andrew Kim being the benchmark, 2:25.5, so 2.5 seconds a lap slower. Unfortunately for Marchie, he's 20 seconds back from this battle. In fact, he's 16 seconds back from this battle for the lead, so 2.5 seconds a lap. There's not enough laps. I mean, he might get 10 seconds back, but...
well, you say there's not enough laps, but...
we've seen it before.
You can spin out at any moment in these conditions, and especially when you take your eye off the ball. You think you've got a 10-second lead, and before you know it, you're spinning out going into turn 1. That's what can happen in these conditions. You think you've got grip, and then it just disappears on you.
Now, the GT Asia Series Shangpeng Race of Shanghai is the feature race. The last 2 rounds of the championship is Frank Yu in the Shangpeng car has taken another look up the inside. He looks like he's got a better line. He's on the outside here. That's good drive out of turn 14 through the 15 kink and into the left-hander. He's trying to squeeze across, and Andrew Kim's got out of it. That's good. That's given Frank Yu the position back. Now it's time to focus, concentrate, and try and use that extra speed and go after race leader Alex Au. That was a brilliant drive by Frank Yu, and I can hear the crowd again. Look at them. The flags are going. They're on their feet. They're loving this. It's a fantastic race. But now it's taken him a while to get through. 15 seconds behind race leader Alex Au. Now, as you say, Alex Au has to complete the race and make sure he finishes. So too does Frank Yu. There's still a little bit of time for the positions to change here. Archie Lee too closing in.
All that Frank can do now is put pressure on and reduce that gap by 1 or 2 seconds a lap, and put the pressure on Alex Au, because he will know the gap back to Frank Yu, and if that is decreasing, that puts pressure on the driver in front. That's all that Frank Yu can do. He's got to hope for a miracle to win this one.
Geez, he went in deep there too, so he's pushing very, very hard. Again, the outside line has the grip. Now, what the battle we got here? This is Vodicon versus, that would be Jerome Mule, and behind, just in front of Jerome Mule rather, in the Porsche is Li Chao. So this is for position number 5. The Bentley currently has the position as the Lamborghini now takes the position away, or does he? The crossover. The Porsche driver, very experienced around this circuit. Of course, the Chinese driver's done a lot of miles around here. He manages to pull back alongside, but he doesn't have the line next turn in to turn 7. And a position away again for Jerome Mule, who continues to push forward. Now, Mule's pace is pretty reasonable, 2:24.9 last time round. Behind him, Amici at 2:23 dead, but Amici's 15 seconds back.
You've got to remember, though, that those guys did have that extra 10 or 12 seconds on most guys in the pits.
21, in fact.
Yeah, so they will be, looking forward to the next race, where some of their accumulated compensation time will be taken off due to the fact that they've had a bad result here. Which will put them in a better position for round 12 and the final race of the year.
Now, just quickly, I did a little bit of arithmetic whilst you were talking then. If things end the way they are now, championship-wise, 124 points for Liberati and Amici. They will lead the championship. Second place will become Rizzo and Liu. They take no points away. They remain on 110. There's 14 points difference. There's 18 points up for the win in the next race, so they're still within contention. But what also happens is Adley Fong, if he stays in position number 3, will move to within 2 points of Rizzo and Anthony Liu. Outside of that, the next lot in the pack are going to drop out of the championship battle, so it'll be a 3-way fight through to this final race. If conditions stay the same, we've seen what's happened to the 37 car as Alex Jung looks on, fingers crossed, I'm sure. He's not real certain. The big crowd are aware they've got an ex-F1 driver in the field, a lot of other drivers too in this championship that with serious experience. But this would be great for Alex Jung to round out his year. And this is the first year too, I should point out, of the Phoenix Racing Asia team. They've already taken 2 wins in GT Asia, taken multiple wins too in the Audi R8 LMS Cup. They're in that championship battle. Alex Jung, in fact, could be up for the championship win right here at Shanghai in about 3 weeks' time. So they've been very, very strong, and they've also done a lot of miles in these cars. Now there is Vodicon immediately behind him. Jerome Mule is monstering the tail end of the number 9 Bentley. Takes a very different line out of turn 3.
Yeah,
and Li Chao still there in position to pick up anything that goes on with these two in front.
Yeah, definitely. Vodicon, of course, knows how to get podiums around here. He was on the podium here in August, the end of August, but completely different conditions. Up the inside goes the number 15 car of the Europeans. A beautiful move. It makes it stick, and Mull goes through.
That'll move him up to position number 5. His teammate still further back. Woody's not finished yet, still looking to try and take the position back. But he has been in this championship battle for much of this year. Ably assisted, I should point out, by Duncan Tappy, the Englishman.
He's done a great job, hasn't he?
Duncan is a class act. He's still racing in Europe. Doesn't race too much for Bentley anymore. This, I think, is the only Bentley racing he does. Oh, Mill's gone very squirrely through. That's turn 9 into turn 10. Wants to be careful there, but he has the advantage. But that's allowed the Porsche now to close up. You see a little bit of damage too on the rear of the Group M car.
Definitely going to be a lot of zip ties pulled out for race 12, isn't there?
Well, it used to be called 100 mile an hour tape. I don't think they use that anymore.
No,
I think zip ties are the new 100 mile an hour tape. So it is Alex Au leading this race by 14.5 seconds. Frank Yu in position number 2 and pulling away too, I should point out, from Andrew Kim in 3rd. And it is Marchie Lee. He's closing it down. It's only 10 seconds now to 3rd place man, but only 3 minutes 55 left in this race. There's Alf Borer, the team boss, talking to Andrea Caldarelli, very experienced driver. Mark Wing there at the engineer at the screen. Duncan Tappy and Vuticorn we saw in the black and pink cars on screen there, just immediately ahead of Li Chao in the Porsche. That is for positions number 5 and 6 rather, because Jerome Mule has gone through to take position 5. Position number 8 for Andrea Amici. Position 9 for Keita Sawa, who's a lot further back than he'd like to be, I'm sure. Oh, no, another spin. Stop it, Frank. Oh, the Shangpeng's car's come unstuck coming out of turn 2, and you'd almost hazard a guess you'd have a pretty good chance of being right that was the tail end. Let go again, and a bit of a grip issue. So hopefully he can get it started, reset the system, get it going forward. He should be able to hang on to a position now. Just watch it. Throttle just slippery around it goes.
He hit the curb on the inside, and
it's unbalanced the car, and around it's gone. So the Shangpeng car will drop once more, probably back to position number 3 behind Andrew Kim. No, he may have in fact dropped back behind Marchie Lee. Marchie Lee, I just saw him just disappear in the top of the screen. So sadly for Frank, that's back to position number 4, but such a fantastic battle through this race, and he really did deserve to be towards the front of this field. He deserved that podium finish because he's driven the wheels of this number 88 Shangpeng Porsche right from the first lap.
He gave it everything that he could,
He gave it everything he could, and he needed to be rewarded with something a little bit different, but he gets another chance this afternoon. Now he knows the circuit. Second race, he starts the car, gets to watch Richard Lyons battle through the pack towards the closing stages, and he'll be desperate to keep this form that he's shown in this first race through to the final round of the championship and impress this big Shangpeng crowd.
Definitely one thing that Porsche needs to look at is, if you look at all of the incidents they've had, the rears come round, so they need to do something to get a little bit more grip on the rear as they enter the corners or touch the gas. Definitely a little bit light in the rear, it seems, the Porsches at the moment.
This should be the penultimate lap of the race, and we need to point out that for Alex Au, this is a brilliant drive. He was in a similar position 2 months ago. He got caught by the Ferrari in the wet. He was looking to try and get past the Vuticorn Bentley, and he managed to make it stick. So he did a fantastic job at that stage. Perhaps he deserved the win, but he certainly took 3rd place in that race. So this one is full credit to the Phoenix Racing Asia team and full credit to the maturity that Alex Au has shown in this race. He stuck with it, even after Frank Yu managed to work his way through, take the position away, lead this race. Then he had the spin, he got the position back and continued to charge. He focused on the job he needed to do. And that's the best you can expect out of an amateur driver, out of your teammate, especially if this isn't his career. He's doing a great job. Very, very impressive drive. Very impressed with Alex Au, and this will be a fantastic win too for the number 6 team. Now, I don't want to put the Mazda on them, as Alex York still stands tentatively watching the last lap of the GT Asia Series, round 11 of the championship, the Shangpeng Race of Shanghai, and what a race it has been. This will be a great result for them. Andrew Kim, likewise, very masterful drive. Had some experience too in America this year, and he is putting that to good use. 3rd place now, Marchie Lee. Good result for him. Kind of keeps him in the championship, but only just. We'll look at the final points a little bit later on. But they're in the battle, a little bit squirrely coming up through turn 10. You have to be very careful there. That's a fairly aggressive part of the circuit. Seen a number of cars spin to the inside wall and do serious damage over recent years of the GT Asia Series. A notable, Hiroshi Hamaguchi, who is now, as an AM driver from the GT Asia Series, running at the front of the pack for Triple F Racing over in Europe. So these drivers are really becoming world-class in this championship, which itself has become world-class. Some of the best GT racing you'll see anywhere in the world. Okay, the field has opened up a little bit now, but in recent rounds we've seen a battle all the way down to the line. And yeah, fingers crossed, Alex Young, this would be a great result for you. And I would expect too, this actually becomes the very first victory for the Malaysian driver. He's had 30 starts in the GT Asia Series, all in Audis, and he's never won. So for him, this too will be win number one. And what a great result. Turn 14, Shangpeng turn as they come through. 2 corners to go. Through the turn 15 kink, the left-hander turn 16 to complete the lap, heading towards the line. And Alex Young and Alex Au, this is victory to Phoenix Racing Asia for the number 6 Double Duck Takchung team. Brilliant result for them. Very happy team. Very happy Alex Young. His maiden victory after many years of trying in the GT Asia Series. That's how close this championship is. A Formula One driver's battling to try and get a win. Sean Tong there, teammate to Marchie Lee. They will stand alongside each other on the podium. Good result too for Andrew Kim. He'll be very excited, the South Korean driver. He takes position number 2. And what a masterful job in the closing laps by Marchie Lee. He certainly is still, despite the fact he complains he's over 40, he can't do anything about that. One of the older drivers in the field, and Frank Yu, he deserves a medal for the drive he's been through. A lot of the potential issues that he suffered in this race is that is the Lamborghini coming across the line with Jerome Mule in position number 5. And Frank Yu probably had to battle the balance of the car, so you couldn't pin those spins so much on driving as the way the car was set up to get maximum speed out of it for this race. And it certainly showed he had the pace. Brilliant stint as he ranged up and overtook Alex Au for the lead of this race. So there it is on screen. Alex Au crosses the line. 23 seconds in the end up on Andrew Kim. Marchie Lee got to within 3 seconds of finishing second, which would have been a fantastic 1-2 for the Phoenix Racing Asia operation. And then a little bit further back, you had Frank Yu cross the line for position number 4 for Craft Bamboo Racing in Shangpeng. Then it was Jerome Mule for the number 15 Lamborghini. Li Chao, position number 6 for the Group M Porsche. A good result for them. That's 2 Porsches in the top 6. Then it was the points leading Lamborghini Huracan GT3 for Roger Dubois Triple F Racing Team by ACM of Andrea Amici. Position number 7 gives them a valuable score of points. In fact, what that does is give them 126 points. There's now 16 points separating them and the 37 car. They've increased the lead by 7 points. 18 points still remaining in this championship as we go into the final race of the year, and that will come later in the program. It will certainly go all the way down to the wire. It's not over yet for the 2 young Italians in the Squadra Corse supported Triple F Racing Huracan. So this will go to the wire later, and it's going to be a great final to this championship, and a fitting final after what has been one of the best seasons of any race championship I've seen in more than 25 years. Now, I'm waxing lyrical about it because it's exciting. It has been such a great year. Position number 8, 3-time winners this year, not this time round. They weren't able to back up the victory they took here last time out in August, and that is Jonathan Venter and Kata Sawa. There you see the number 1 Audi Hong Kong Takchun Double Duck car, Phoenix Racing Asia. There's the Michelin man. He has served that team perfectly today. The Michelin wets have been exactly what Alex Au and Alex Yu needed. Alex Au and Alex Young have done a great job. The number 7 car, Andrew Kim and Adelie Fong. There is Alex Au. Great result for Phoenix Racing Asia. In 3rd place, of course, their teammates with Marchie Lee behind the wheel, crosses the line for 2 cars in the top 3. Unfortunately for the big Shangpeng crowd, it wasn't going to be the fairy tale ending. It looked at one stage like we'd see Frank Yu and Richard Lyons on the top step of the podium, but unfortunately that didn't quite fall into place. Finished 4th. They will be back to fight for round 12 of the championship a little bit later in the program. But we'll hear from the 2 race winners. They're very happy, the 2 Alexes. Great drive by both of those drivers. Set up by Alex Au. Here comes the team boss, Marchie Lee. It's a little bit shorter than his 2 rivals. A jump up and down there. Very exciting. Great result. And of course, Sean Tong, the youngest member of the Phoenix Racing Asia outfit. This is a great result for them, and certainly comes at a fitting time. So there's the final result. It's Alex Young and Alex Au take the victory from Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim in the number 7 Bentley. Then it is the second of the Phoenix Racing Asian cars of Sean Thong and Marchie Lee. Richard Lyons and Frank Yu in the Porsche that did such a brilliant job. The Shangpeng car finish in position number 4. Then it is Marco Mappelli and Jerome Mule, the 2 recruits for the Lamborghini, the Triple F team, in position 5. Then it is Desheng and Peter Lee in Charlie in position 6. But we are with Steve Martin down in pit lane with the race winners. Let's hear from them.
Alex, that was a great drive in difficult conditions. You set that up perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking really good. The car was excellent. We had the pace. But then in the middle of the race, it started raining a lot heavier. And I started to struggle a little bit more than the Porsche through the puddles. So I was thinking, well, I have to be very careful here. Just bring it back in for Alex. Brought in for Alex. Okay, we lost position in the pit stop. But Alex just drove really well after that. And I'm so proud of him, so proud of the team. And for our car, it's the first win of the year. First win for me as well.
You must be you must have been nervous watching Alex out there. I mean, he had a bit of a moment. He did, yeah.
Yeah, I was very nervous. But, you know, Alex over the last couple of races has really improved. You know, I mean, and he brought it home and did a perfect job.
Alex, your teammate was quite worried watching you out there. It must have been very difficult.
Well, yeah, the car was oversteering, understeering. It's difficult conditions, and there were quite a few puddles and rivers out there. Getting better towards the end as the car cleared some of the rivers, but at the beginning you had to push with the rivers. It was quite difficult.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great result for the 2 Audi drivers. And again, we can't emphasise enough just how impressive the job was by Alex Au. Conditions are treacherous. You heard Alex Young talk about it, a driver with experience in F1, in prototypes at Le Mans. He said they were changing all the time. And even Alex Au himself said it, from oversteer to understeer. The conditions are changing almost lap by lap. So there we look at it again. It's the championship points as they've been updated. It is Andrea Amici, Edo Liberati, 126, 16 points up on Rizzo and Liu. Marchie Lee and Adderley Fong and Sean Thong and Andrew Kim. So that's 2 different teams, but they're all equal. Still in the championship hunt. All of those teams, should anything happen in that final race, are capable of winning this championship. So still, despite the fact they'll lead the championship by 16 points, with 18 points still remaining, it still is no guarantee that the number 55 Triple F racing team by ACM Lamborghini, backed of course by Roger Dubois, will take this title out. Pretty good chance though. I mean, we've never seen a deficit of that margin miss out at the end. I mean, there's never really been, Steve Martin, a chance where a team has been that far behind, 16 points now, to come through and actually take away the win.
Yeah, certainly setting things up excellently for the race later on this afternoon. So really looking forward to that. But of course, it's the Ferrari team that have got all the work to do now.
They've got everything in front of them, but that AF Corse supported Spirit of Race team, we've seen them do it before. We saw Andrea Godotti. He's not been at the last couple of race meetings. That's made no real difference to the team, but the importance of this championship is not lost on the fact that AF Corse have sent one of their top men here to keep working with his crew to try and make this championship happen for Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo. And we talk about it could have been a perfect result for Richard Lyons and Frank Yu, the Shangpeng support. Of course, we're racing at the GDA Series Shangpeng race of Shanghai, but also for Anthony Liu. He's about to become a father any minute, literally any minute. Well, it's his birthday tomorrow.
I know. This
could all have been perfect.
He's got a very busy week ahead of him as Anthony Liu, so I'm sure this is just one of the things on his list of achievements. But, you know, I'm sure, as you say, that the Ferrari boys, they're fighters. They won't give up. They're going to give it everything they've got, and whatever the issue is with that car, I'm sure that we're going to see them back out. And one thing we do know that is an angry Anthony Liu is a fast Anthony Liu. So we're going to see some fireworks in round 12. I wouldn't want to miss it.
Oh, we're not going to miss it. If you miss it, we're in all sorts of trouble. But this race is really going to be fantastic. I'm talking about how brilliant this season has been. I know I'm heavily involved. You're heavily involved. We're part of this team. It is a family, the GT Asia Series, but the racing really has been impressive. And I've heard you say it a number of times during the year. It's been amongst the best racing you've ever seen. The frustration is we don't have a field of 40 cars every round, but that doesn't change the fact that at the front of the field, the racing is so intense. You don't miss any of that. You feel like there's so much going on right through the race, across through the field. Adley Fong left a screen. Marchie Liu did a brilliant drive over the closing laps, got to within 2 seconds of Andrew Kim and kept himself alive in this championship. So all these guys can still be the 2016 GT Asia Series champions a little bit later today.
Yeah, I mean, you just saw the guys there, you know, cooler conditions, you'd imagine it'd be easier to drive, but they're very mentally exhausting conditions out there as well. They're all pretty, you know, looking a bit wrecked and need a couple of hours rest until they get back out there this afternoon. They've all had a good run now in these conditions. If it's anything like this afternoon, it's going to give guys the opportunity to change the setups of their cars a little bit, change it around a little bit, and hopefully be able to work their way towards the front. Especially the Porsches, I think that they need to work on something on the rear of that car.
Well, I was saying whilst you were off interviewing the guys, you couldn't attribute a lot of that off-track activity to Frank Yu. It was a lot to do with the way the cars were set up. Also, additionally, I mean, attribute great praise on Alex Au. The car, it's a hard car to drive at speed. These aren't the easiest cars in the world to drive, but then you throw in conditions that are changing. Alex Young said it's changing almost every lap. Alex Au said it went from oversteer to understeer. You had all these things to consider, and he rightly points towards the sky with the number one finger because they actually won this. They drove this car, they won this race, and full deserved praise to the number 6 Audi team.
Yeah, what a result, Sean. That's excellent.
Let's see how the champagne goes. I can imagine that Phoenix Racing Asia team will be very, very happy to do a little bit of presentation. There you go, 5, 6, 7. That works out quite nicely so far as the car numbers as a result, doesn't it? Or 6, 7, 5, should we put it in the correct order. But yeah, no, what a brilliant race. Great to have Shangpeng with us here too for this final round of what has been an epic season. It's a word that's been thrown around a lot, but it really has been outstanding. So we will have one more round of this GT Asia Series Shangpeng Race of Shanghai. It's going to go down to the wire, so please join us. Don't miss this wherever you are around the world. It's going to be a brilliant end to the 2016 season.